Hey there, how's everybody doing? Glad to finally make it here. Sorry, it took me a couple seconds to get things lined up and ready to go. Another Tuesday, decided to fire it up. We are at episode 46. Now, we're only 4 episodes away from the big 50, but thanks for joining the Renegade Butcher show. I see you over there in the comments, Kyle. Thanks for stopping in. He said first and only at the moment. So we're going to get everything all kicked off and rolling. Let's see here. I'm going to try to run this podcast as an update, and also I am streaming over to Nostr Nests as well. So the idea with the show today is going to be, let me give you guys an update. Let me get a nice condensed, quick, this is what's going on in Joshland. And then I'm going to open up Q&A over on Nostr Nests. And as long as everything still works and, there's no hangups, I'll combine them and I'll keep them all together as one podcast. So we can get that awesome audience interaction. I'm really liking Nostr Nests. As you guys know, I keep talking about it. I've been on Nostr a lot lately. It's really cool on a tech side. I like that. But at the same time, it's enabling free speech and being able to share things in where other places aren't. The following's growing really quick over there. And this Nostr Nest, which is basically an audio chat platform that works really well for bringing guests on and off and having roundtable discussions. StreamYard does a great job with that, but not everybody wants to jump on video, and just sometimes it's a little tricky. So, and it's exposing all this to another audience as well. So, that said, thanks everybody who is dropping in. Give it a few minutes here to get everybody filtering in and seeing everything that's going on. But yeah, just some updates on what I've had going. I've mostly wrapped up the majority of my deer stuff. I've got a few other orders that just have small stuff pending that are like little not priority projects. Managed to get the cooler issues taken care of, and I don't know what's going on back here. We got a football game happening in the parking lot behind me or something. Anyways, managed to get the cooler back up and running properly. Got the beef that was in question out of the way and all packaged up, and I am on the road to getting seasoning stuff taken care of here over this next week. I do need to actually update and send out those coupon codes to the Seasoning of the Month subscribers so they can get their orders in. That's on me. My website was down. If you tried to go to renegadebutcher.com, it was down over the weekend. They had a major server, my server provider. Hey, Sam, good to see you over there. Basically, they had a server melt. They had to get it. It's the I Like Gloves guy. Hey, glad you like gloves. Anyways, they had to bring in a whole new server rack and thankfully had a backup flash. So, hard lesson for me. Reminds me that I need to get some of these backups taken care of and put together. Myself have that retained by me and not worry about their backup system, because I could be down for 24 hours. And thankfully, I own the domain. I could point it anywhere I wanted to. If I had another hosting account somewhere, I could just have my website live. So that's in the works. It's been some tech time this week trying to get that all together and make it happen. Sam, I don't currently have any gloves in my car. You seem to really do like gloves. This is the second time you've dropped in. And yeah, so if you guys have any thoughts or answers for Sam Coker over here on gloves, no glove, no love. So anyways, speaking of that, boy, we've had some trolls pop in lately. That's been fun. The whole Nostr thing. Wow. So if you guys follow me over there or pretty much anywhere that I post stuff, I generally do certain daily updates on things, and on Nostr, I've been promoting some of my merch. People like to spend Lightning. People like to spend Bitcoin, and it's they like supporting businesses that accept Bitcoin. I do. So I'll take some of my T-shirts or mugs or stuff like that now and then, and I'll post it up over there and be like, hey, if you want this. I had an angry troll vegan going by Ohm or River, whatever his name is over there. And I'm sure if you're in Telegram, you can go find that link or whatnot too. But I ended up making a T-shirt out of the guy. It was great. He came in kind of preaching the whole vegan propaganda of how dare you process animals, how dare you slaughter animals when you could just eat, vegan alternatives from the store. And I basically told him, I said, look, I've spent years debating vegans. Before I was even really heavily into butchery, I as a hobby for a while I was just coping with some things, I would go and get into debates with people. I was in groups centered around debating vegans, and I was king fucking meat troll of those groups. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. We've trumped every one of those arguments. They're all illogical and they're stupid. So I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time here. I'm not going to try to convince you you're a walking PETA meme. I'm sorry. You know, it is what it is. You kill more animals than me just by, you know, what they actually do to major farm crops. So if you've ever been around major crops, yeah. So many animals are poisoned, run over by combines. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So if you're actually quantifying it by the number of lives taken, I can live on one cow a year, bitch. I can take one life a year. All life has to kill something else. So anyway, I went off on the very mild Josh rant. The very mild Josh rant. I was nice. I mean, I'm to that point where I'm getting old enough. I don't want to argue with people unless I need to. And then he decided to get feisty with the, I think I'll eat your, or I can't wait to eat your family. Oh, great. Not that I'm mad. Not that I'm scared of somebody. Not that I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to call the cops. Somebody threatened me online. Now I'm having fun with it. Now I know you're just being a dick. So I screenshot it. I copied the note link, which he tried to delete. Guess what? It's Nostr. You can't delete it. It's there forever. You can delete it for you. You can request it be deleted by a relay. It doesn't go away. Anyways, so I made him a shirt. Put his profile picture. Put the quote up there. It's going to be available on renegadebutcher.com once I get all that stuff linking back with the site. It's giving me some fits right now after the site meltdown. But it's available. Let me know. You can find it exclusively right now on Nostr. So if you're not on Nostr, check it out. And if you want to hear more about it, if you want to hear me talk about it for an hour, and I'm not going to do that tonight, even though I'm going to go on Nostr Nests. I'm not going to focus on Nostr on my podcast here where I'm talking about my other stuff. But if you want to hear about it for an hour, you can go over to Brian at the Lots Projects podcast or Lightning for Liberty on Thursday night. Normally we do it right before my show. We had a lot going on. He didn't have a guest for his show Thursday night lined up and set up. So I'm going to be his guest. But we're going to combine it. We're going to do Lightning for Liberty and me on his show at the same time. And we're just going to talk about Nostr since I've done such a deep dive into it, you know. So if you're interested, that's one to check out. Day after tomorrow. Anyways, like I said, if you are for sure wanting to get that Seasoning of the Month Club stuff this month, and you know you want to get it this month, get your order in now. Get set up with that. Let me know. We will get you hooked up. And if you don't want to pay with a credit card, just let me know. We'll make it happen. We'll take care of it in the back end there. Let's see here. And yeah, Sam really loves his gloves. And Backwoods Butcher says he doesn't feel safe in the chat. I'm sorry you're stuck down there with Sam. Hopefully you brought some gloves down there, Backwoods Butcher. Anyways, folks, well, I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, if you, I might reactivate that coupon code. We'll see. I was running a 1-day coupon code with the guy's profile name. So, it was 10% off. 10% off for everybody. That's your MSB discount, but I was running it for a single day. So if you weren't an MSB member, there you go. That said, I've got a couple of questions I need to get sent off to Jack from the expert council for Jack at the Survival Podcast. If you have questions for him that you want to hear on his show, you want to hear your question answered by me on his show, send it in to Jack at thesurvivalpodcast.com and say for the expert council for Josh the Renegade Butcher. I've got to get some content off to him because that helps him with his Friday shows. So I meant to get that recorded today, but got into other things. So that'll be either after the show or tomorrow. So probably not after the show because who knows how long these Nostr Nests sometimes drag on. But anyways, folks, that's what else do I have happening? Oh yeah, so the 50th episode is just around the corner. We have 4 more episodes. So we're coming up on that giveaway. Man, I've been promising for a while if we can get up to 1,000 followers, I was going to give away a year of the Seasoning of the Month. I don't think we're going to make it, guys. I'd love to see it happen, but we're not having up to 500 yet. I was really hoping to see a big spike in it, but it is what it is. I'm not complaining. I've only been doing this for a year as far as a podcast, And I've only been doing it seriously for like the last 5 months to actually keep on the schedule. So I'm not complaining, but I don't see us hitting 1,000. So that said, we're still having a giveaway. There's still going to be some prizes. And we're going to have other creators are throwing things into the ring as well. So there's going to be a bunch of cool stuff. I'm going to announce those details here over the next couple episodes on exactly how that's going to go down. Probably what I'll do is set up some sort of a pre-sign up form ahead of time. There will be some giveaways, some prizes that will basically be randomly drawn live, but to the people who've already applied, because I know not everybody's going to be able to make the live. And there is going to be some prizes that are only going to be given away to live guests. So if you want the good stuff, or if you for sure want to have your hat in the ring for all the prizes, be sure to check, keep tabs on what I have going on, and drop in that 50th episode. So I'm going to make it a big thing. That's going to be kind of a big deal. 50 episodes is, it's not a lot, but at the same time, when in the podcasting world, I was talking to Tim the other day about this. Very few people really make it past the first dozen. So, yeah, here we are. Let's see here. He says he doesn't believe in gloves. Kyle doesn't believe in gloves, guys, and he's anti-glove. Oh, no. Anyways, let's see here. What else do I have going on other than that giveaway? Wait, if you are a content creator, or you're a fan of the show, or you have something that you produce, that you create, and you would like your prize to be included as something to give away, if you've got something you want to contribute, we did that with Brian with the Lots Project. We've done that with some stuff with Tim and whatnot. When we have big episodes and we do the giveaways, a lot of times people will throw stuff out there. So if you've got something, I know there's at least a couple of creators who are going to be contributing some things. If you're one of those, or if you know somebody that you think would like to do so, it's great promotion all around. So you can get some of your stuff in some new people's hands and get mentioned and talked about on my show. So it's good for everybody. Be sure to check that out. Let's see here. I wonder if the old Backwoods Butcher wants to do something as a giveaway on the Renegade Butcher show. We'll have to talk about that and see. I'm pretty sure though that old Kyle down here is going to be joining me on the Nostr Nest for a little bit. Once I do wrap this thing up here, I'm going to keep it a fairly short episode on the video side, and we'll pop over to there because I want to do more of the Q&A today if I can. So I asked, hey, do you want to pop in and help me answer questions? Because it does, it's a little bit more legitimate when it comes from two butchers versus just the one. So, and sometimes people, different areas, different perspectives, different experiences. We may see or think of something the other one doesn't. So, and it's always a good chat. And worst case scenario, if nobody shows up, which is entirely possible, guess what? Me and Kyle can talk for a couple hours. So let's see here. I should fire up my phone and get it pointed towards the old Nostr Nest. And once I have another person in there, it should fire up and let everybody know that this is live. So since I'm the only one hanging out in there right now, nobody's really going to know. Nobody's going to know. Anyways, folks, if anybody has any questions or whatnot to throw out there into the comments, toss them out. Let me know. We'll get you answered here before I flip over to the audio side. And I will keep an eye back, and I will pop over and try to keep an eye on YouTube comments and things like that. I'm going to try to stream the Nostr Nest over on all my other platforms as well. But if I don't keep it, I'm going to have two chats going. So I've got a Nostr chat that's also linked down here in the show notes. So if you're interested in that, it's just a chat. So you'll probably have to log in from your computer or with an extension if you've figured out how to do it with your phone. But once you're logged in and set up, that's going all the time. So that's an open room for the Renegade Butcher show. So if you're on Nostr and you follow that Nostr chat and go in there, Amethyst users can see it as well when it comes in. So I'll get a notification whenever somebody throws something out in that chat. So I think I'm going to leave that open and just have it be kind of an extra chat space. We Telegram a lot, but we'll open it up on Nostr. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Kyle says there might be a few skulls he could pull out of the freezer and clean up. For giveaway. I'm like, on the air. Oh, okay. Hey, that could be if you want to ship out a skull for somebody as a giveaway, man. Go for it. Go for it. I was thinking maybe something more like a T-shirt or something, but that's that's not a bad idea, dude. It's not a bad idea. Oh, by the way, Kyle, I did try some of that bear fat the other day too. It was I seared a steak in it, and it turned out good. I honestly couldn't have told the difference between that and some good pork lard. So, yeah, I'm trying to get it used and do something with it too. Oh, actually, what I did was I put some in my Dutch oven when I braised some oxtail and beef shank, and kind of got a good crust on that, and then cooked some onions and stuff like that down in the fat, and then added the rest of my stuff and just let it braise. And it's actually, after 48 hours, still going on low on the stove. And I've been eating a lot of burrito style tacos. So, let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I haven't covered. Keep meaning to mention that giveaway, mentioning the seasoning of the month. I keep promising to get some more seasoning blends out. I just haven't had as much time sitting at the shop doing it. I've been trying to get all this tech stuff done, so need to buckle down and get that going. Hey, Haas, good to see you. Good to have you drop in. Just about wrapping up the majority of stuff on this segment of the show, and I was going to open it up for audio questions over on the Nest, but I'm going to try to keep an eye on comments over here as well. So yeah, we're just plugging away here. A little bit of an update episode, and then I want to spend the majority of the time doing live Q&As, just getting that conversation ready to go. And yeah, Kyle, it was good. I'm glad you were able to send, even though we had the breakage in the mail on that bear fat, we had the one jar that was lost. It was great. And I've still got that pork fat from you too. I need to give it a shot. So I haven't been doing as much cooking at home as I should, especially during deer season. And as I wrap all that stuff up, I'll just cook stuff at the shop. So if it's at the house, by the time I'm there and dicking around with it most of the time, if I'm eating something that late at night, I don't feel like making a big ordeal and breaking out a jar of fat and all that. So it was good to have the opportunity to actually get it put to use, because I've been staring at it going, I need to do something with that. Anyways, guys, I'll give it a couple minutes here till I fire up to just the Nest. But let me, like I said, get that started here from the phone too, just as a backup. And that should send out a signal that it is live and ready to go. But if you do want to join over there, even if you aren't a Nostr user, if you just want to listen in, or if you want to throw in a question or whatnot, you don't have to have a Nostr profile. You can just go to, there's a link down below, but it's the nest.renegadebutcher.com. And once you're there, you just have to enable your microphone and whatnot, and we'll see you. I can bring you up on stage. You can do some fun stuff and edit your name and all that fun stuff. And a lot of it's a little bit confusing. It's new, guys. They're putting it together, but we're playing with it. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. So, all right. That said, now that I've got that live and ready to go, I think I am going to, I had the echo going on there because I had my car speaker on. I'm going to go ahead and fire that up over there. See, we got 5 people in the chat watching. Thanks for joining in, guys. Do me a favor before I forget and I zip over and I switch to the live Q&A on the Nest. If you're watching, if you could, go hit the like. And if you're not following, please go hit the follow. It helps us out. I really do appreciate it. It's always good to get a good crowd in here. I know it takes people a little bit to filter in. Like I said, mostly just did some updates on what's been going on recently with me and what's coming up. But that's about where we're at. So if you need any seasonings, coffee, anything like that, be sure to visit renegadebutcher.com and we'll get you all taken care of. And if you see any site bugs, let me know, because I've been chasing my tail on a couple little things since that server update and trying to get all the bugs worked out. It's more time consuming than you'd expect. So anyways, with that, folks, I think I'm going to jump over to the Nostr Nest, and I see we've already got a few people over there ready to go. And we'll catch you there. All right, let's see. We're going to flip this script now. See if I can, yep, we'll share that over there. We see I got Kyle already. I saw Golden Crickets popped in at one point. Let's switch to this display because, okay, I think that's going to work. Okay, here we go. And we're live on the Nest. All right, let me bring Kyle up. I guess he doesn't have to hide down there. Hey, Kyle, welcome to the stage. And Golden Crickets, I see you over there too. Did you guys hear me, or is
We're
it?
back.
There you are. There you are. Okay, you got to unmute. Yep. All right, here we go. I'm going to drop off with my phone just in case. All right, cool. I just like to have that one linked in here as an admin in case I need to come in and do any work. So, yeah. So, what you been up to, Kyle? Sounds like you had a big day.
Yeah, lots of deep cleaning.
Oof.
Finally. Yeah, it sucks, but it feels so good now that it's done.
It is what it is. It's part of it. You know, it's good to have it. It feels so much better once it's actually clean, but it's a pain in the ass when you're really going through it. There's some deep cleaning I need to get done over at the shop too. I've got a bunch of just extra stuff I haven't used in a while. It's sitting in the corner, and I'm like, it just needs a good pressure wash and like soak in some bleach water for a while.
Yeah, exactly. The straw that broke the camel's back was getting the pad poured and all the concrete dust and everything. And of course, by my back, the garage door where I was doing all the slaughters in the back of it, I also had all the tractor stuff there because most of I was doing it in the middle of the winter. So there was hydraulic fluid everywhere too. So as soon as the concrete dust hit it, it was just like, it was bad. So I basically went in and just literally anything that was on that side that did not need to be there, like daily, got moved out.
Mm-hmm.
And everything got scrubbed, and it felt so good.
That stuff just gets on everything. You don't realize how much of it just goes airborne and coats every surface.
It's everywhere. And it's like, I don't want people to hear this and think that my shop isn't clean, because it is clean.
But it's a lot of work to keep it clean. That's
exactly.
You know, it's a dirty job to begin with, but it's any shop. And like you said, you've got the big garage door that has to open up. You're moving the tractor in and out. You know, you're going to have constant dust and things to combat. So it happens. It's part of it.
Nope, but feels good.
Oh, yeah. Good. You kill anything fun lately? You've got your beef slaughter video up too. I need to.
I do.
I've been meaning to go and actually watch it all day too. And today has been like the day everybody has a podcast. So it's like, and all the ones that I like want to watch live. So I hadn't caught up with it yet, but I'll have to do that.
No, it was good.
How long was it?
It's not the best one. It's not the best one I've done, and I'm looking forward to doing a really good one when the kill floor is finished up, and I can actually really get used to the new setup, because that's part of it, is doing something new in that way. And I'm like, it was a tough day.
Definitely a learning curve to being able to properly film it while doing it too. You know. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's an interesting
and when you're slaughtering something, on the scale of a cow, there is a timeline that you need to get that done, and you can't spend half your day fucking with cameras. So you don't if you're not set up and ready to go, or you're not completely familiar with how all that equipment's working or your angles and shit like that, you can't spend 20 minutes every 10 minutes double checking and fixing and tweaking with your, you almost need a camera person.
No, it's a tough thing to film for sure. It's like, the reason I don't love this one, it is a good video. I rewatched it and I'm like, all right, I do like it.
You were hating on yourself pretty bad last night, so.
Editing it, I was like, you are an idiot.
Well, yeah, it's how it is when you edit your own stuff. You see every flaw.
Oh, exactly. And then today I've had 5 people text me and go, that was amazing. And I'm like, all right, it's
right. Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, the only people who are going to really criticize you and be a dick are either people who are complete idiots and don't know anything about it, or there's somebody who's been doing it forever and you just didn't do it their way. For the average person that's interested in learning, anything that you're going to do is going to look like you're a fucking god, because it's a hard thing to do. And, the skill and the proficiency does show. So,
Right. I mean, even with all the troubles that went through, it was still down and in the cooler in under an hour and a half. We got it there, but it's like,
it was one of those. Sometimes some are harder than others, Sometimes you just run into hangups. Well, and you were fighting your tractor too, weren't you?
Yeah, I had to rebuild the whole battery system.
Oh, shit. It's a great way to start your day.
Yeah. So yeah,
you were already mad by the time you started.
Yeah, exactly. So I just hate slaughtered that day. I was just like,
Hey, Golden Crickets, I see you up there. Do you have any questions or ideas or thoughts you wanted to throw out? Or this is kind of just ask the butchers bullshit type after the podcast hangout. Maybe not. That's okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So what do you got new coming up there, Kyle? You got anything fun on the agenda?
I do have a slaughter on Thursday that I'm not going to record because it's mobile. It's my first mobile slaughter in like
which is
6
hard.
months.
Yeah.
And it's too. I'm actually pretty excited because I got the recommendation from, or the person got the recommendation from the guy he bought the pigs from. The guy I bought the pigs from is a buddy of mine. And the boar that I have is one of the original boars that he drove up from Georgia.
Right.
Of the Ossabaws. So the pigs I'm doing are his, or like came from his stock, and they're the same cross as my boar.
So it'll be interesting because you're kind of looking at a similar result to hopefully what you're going to be slaughtering for yourself here soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about it. These are a little fatty.
Yeah.
But they'll be good.
Yep. Tori over on YouTube was still watching, and she said she has a love-hate relationship with cleaning, and I can agree.
Yeah, so they little bit of a confinement situation with a large breed, so it's gonna be interesting skinning.
All right, we got Danielle popped down here. Let me invite. Golden Crickets is having trouble. It looks like. Hey, how's it going? Is it Daniel or Danielle, or is that am I butchering your name?
Pun intended.
Right. I didn't even mean to. That shit. It just happened. Oh man. All right. Everybody's being shy tonight. They're keeping the mics silent, so maybe they've got something going on. But yeah. Anyway, I haven't had a ton with the slaughter side lately. I've had a few people reach out. I need to return a few calls here, and it's been one of those. I've had so much other stuff going on that I couldn't really. I've just been committed to getting it done.
Right.
I haven't wanted to book anything, because it's one of those up in the air, especially with the cooler things. I'm like, I don't know for sure when I'm going to free up and be done with all these little projects that I can just walk away and start taking on more of like a mobile thing. So
yeah, that's pretty tough.
Which kind of sucks because if you don't book ahead, by the time you start booking, you got like a 2-3 week downtime. So, which is great because it lets me catch up on a bunch of stuff that I've needed to at the house and computer work that's been way neglected.
Right.
But at the same time, there's the whole be nice to make some money,
Right. I know that's actually been pretty nice.
Yeah.
With the main customer I have now, I know I'm getting a beef every Monday.
Consistency is nice.
It's amazing.
It lets you actually be able to plan. You can budget some things. Like you're pretty sure that's going to be there. There's at least reasonable suspicion that I'm going to be able to have this much money on a regular basis. So
yeah,
it takes a lot of stress off.
But what's been nice is my phone's been blowing up lately, and I'm like, oh, awesome. And it's like,
well, when you do go to work, word spreads, man. It's not hard in this industry. Yeah. That's the thing. If you do decent work, the best referrals you can get are word of mouth, and people are not afraid to pass it on because that's what a lot of us are doing. Nice. There's not a lot of people out here that actually know what the hell they're doing when it comes to butchery. So if you're the guy, right? Yeah, I quit advertising.
I've never advertised. Yeah. I handed out business cards and wore a shirt.
Yeah, I've handed out some business cards, and I used to be really on top of it of going around to all the feed stores and all the hardware stores and hanging a flyer.
Oh, you got to make the run. Like you got to hit grain store, convenience store, like the main convenience store.
That's better advertising than anything you can do online when it's in this line of work, because that's where the people who are your customers are going all the time, and that they're looking for that community board there. I still get calls from stuff I hung up 5 years ago for stuff I don't even do anymore. But other than that, the only thing I would ever do would be like right before deer season, I'd go around and I would hit every gun store and every place I knew that sold hunting license. And I would take like my wild game, price sheet and my contact information. And I'd just be like, hey, if you want to hang this somewhere, just give them a sheet. And that's all I'd ever need to do. And I actually quit doing that because I got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to take more customers on during that season because I can already barely keep up with what I have. If I wanted to do more, I'd have to hire help, which means I'd have to train help, which means I probably end up working harder.
Right, exactly. I know. I keep going. I never have any cards on me. Like, it still shocks me when people ask for my card. They're like, why? It's like, oh, yeah, I have a business. Like,
that's right.
My card.
It's nice to not have to think about marketing because you're as busy as you want to be. That's a good place to be.
We're getting there.
And here you are running like a podcast and a YouTube and everything too. So,
it is insane.
So but hey, that's also good promotion because if nothing else, you can always point people towards your YouTube channel now.
Yeah. I remember the night before I started the podcast, sitting here going like, I don't think I could take on one more project. Like, I am so like pulled in every direction. And then the next day I uploaded my first YouTube video.
Yep. Hey, Tori's got a question over here. I think I'm going to let you run with this one and I'll fill in if there's anything. The only butcher question she says that she's ever had is, what giant pieces of meat can I get at the grocery store and break down myself? And how do I know if I'm paying too much? That is a loaded question, but that's a good one. So I'm going to let you run with that. I know you've had some retail experience too, so you probably have some good input on it.
I mean, yeah, I was trying to make it a joke, and then I just couldn't get there. So what I would say is
something big piece of meat. Okay.
No, I was trying so hard, and it just wasn't getting there, so I just failed. No, so what I
don't know if Golden Crickets is removing herself from the stage, or she's just having problems, but I keep adding her back. So if she wants to talk, she can just unmute. Anyway, go for it, bud.
No, I would say if you go to, like, if you have a BJ's or even Walmart sometimes has, like, bulk, like, primals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If a ribeye isn't, like, overly priced, grab it. You're getting extra steaks than what you would
like,
get.
Yeah, like a full ribeye section, like or even rib roast.
Rib roast. If there's like a pre-cut rib roast in the case,
or especially if you watch like right after Christmas and New Year's when they sell those for the holiday and they have extras left over, shit, I've gotten those for dirt cheap. Yeah.
If you're like if you're a little more advanced with your setup, I would even say like go buy a whole boneless chuck.
Yeah, that's where
that would be. Yeah,
boneless chuck or brisket. Brisket's less something you're going to break down. It's a big piece, and it's usually pretty economical. But there's not a lot to do with brisket other than smoke it or grind it.
Right.
But chuck,
there's so much to do out of the chuck.
Oh my god! And you can find it at a decent price too. I mean,
oh yeah.
I can't even tell you what chuck goes for right now because I haven't bought one in a while. But I bet you if you buy the whole primal, $5-6 a pound, something like that.
The last time I bought it, it was on sale, and I got it for like $4 a pound, $4.39 a pound or something.
I want to say 5 or 6.
Nice chuck. I bought 2.
Yep.
The guy was looking at me like, "What the fuck?" And then I looked down and I was wearing like my business shirt. And
Did you say what the chuck?
He's like, "Oh."
Hey, Lisa, I see your comment over there. We're over here chatting on the Nostr Nest side. We did an update earlier, and we're just answering some questions now, just talking about audience stuff. So we're running the chat side over there, and we're also I'm trying to keep an eye over here on the YouTube comments and the Facebook. So appreciate that. But yeah, I think I agree with him there, Tori. Chuck is especially if you can get a boneless chuck roll, it's easier for a beginner to break down. There's so much you can do at it between like chuck eye. Denver steaks, stew meat, chuck roasts, and all the trim is great to save for, if you've got a grinder or if you want to cut it up into stew meat.
And that's what I meant by like if your setup was like a little more advanced instead of just like I can cut these steaks, these steaks and grind and do all that.
And I try to do some videos on some breakdown, and I really need to do some more. This last beef I worked on was kind of a shit show because of the cooler issues, so I just wanted to get it done. But I could point you towards some really, really good videos too of some guys. Mm-hmm. If you're on TikTok at all, he's got a YouTube as well. But if you're over on TikTok at all, there's a guy called he goes by Meat Dad everywhere. His shit is phenomenal for just retail cut breakdowns. And he's hilarious too because he's just like always cussing and telling everybody to save some fucking money. But he does a really good job of filming it. Anyway, here, let's see. Haas has got a question. Says, we're going to buy a cow from another family member and split the cost. After watching Kyle's video, I think I'm going to attempt to butcher it ourselves to save money. Oh, Haas, have you ever done any kind of animal breakdown or butchery before, or is that you just jumping right in? I'm not discouraging you at all, but I'll tell you right now, jumping in, if you've never done beef before, it's an undertaking. It's an undertaking.
Yeah, so. it's not an easy.
That's straight to advanced. But yeah, let's see here. And Tori says, awesome, that's something that'll do. You only have a knife and a cutting board. Well, hey, that's where you got to start. Knife and a cutting board will get you a long way. That's where both me and Kyle started. I
used to cut deer on a countertop that slid in the bed of my truck. Like, we all start somewhere.
Right. All right. Haas has this is, I want to hear your answer to this one.
Boy.
What's a good butcher weight for beef?
Shit.
That depends.
It does depend. It depends on what you're looking for.
Well, it depends on the breed. It depends on your goals. It depends on your situation, your feed program. That's a whole.
Right now, the majority of my business is jerseys, and they're averaging from anywhere from like high 600 to like the one I did today was 458. So it's like they do fluctuate, but I think 600 is a solid weight that I like. You get good amount of meat out of it. And I'm thinking about it from a whole business perspective.
Now, are you talking a hanging weight or are you talking?
That's a hang weight.
Okay, but that's the thing. And now I know a lot of people probably don't understand.
They probably never.
So just for the breakdown, I know I've talked about it a little bit before in previous episodes, but it's been a long time. So when it comes to animal weights, you really got about 3 categories. You've got your live weight, which obviously is the animal alive, walks across the scale. And most butchers don't really care about that. If you're on the mobile side, a lot of guys will do the live weight because they've still got to deal with all that. And it's just easier for them to set it up and weigh it that way. I have never been one to go by that. Most of the time, if you take an animal somewhere and get it processed, you're going to get billed on basically the hanging weight, which is after it's been killed, skinned, gutted, cleaned up, basically ready to go in the cooler. What you're putting on the hook and aging in the cooler, that's typically what they weigh and bill. That's usually when you start talking butcher weight, that's usually what we're going to go to. And then it also confuses people because then you've got your finished weight, what you take home, what comes out in the box, and that varies. Everybody asks, what's the conversion between this, that, how much do you lose? Well, it depends on how you want it cut. Depends on how fatty it was. Depends on how much bone-in cuts you want. Depends if you want all your bones and fat back. Some people don't. So that if you want it all ground, guess what? You lost all your bone weight. So anyways, let's see here before I forget. He says he's only done pigs, Haas says. But that's a good place. If you've done pigs before, you've got a good basis to maybe start on beef. If you're confident that you can get through a market-sized pig, I don't see a reason you couldn't do beef. It's just going to be an adventure the first time. Let's see here. You still over there, Kyle, or did I go silent? Because sometimes I run into that on nests. Hello? Do you hear me? Or do I need to refresh?
Sorry, I'm back.
You're good. Oh, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that my audio is still working because sometimes I've had it pop in and out on Nest. So anyway, okay, cool.
No, I had to grab a sweatshirt. I forgot it was fucking May.
I forget. It's still cold. Fuck, dude. I'm running the air conditioning in the car right here right now.
Yeah, it's like probably 50.
Yeah,
it's like 50 today.
It hit 90 yesterday here.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know, right? Whole different world. Let's see here. Lisa asks if I may check with your local grocery store that those small hole in the walls, you can often buy bigger cuts before they break it down for the store's case. Just a thought. And that, in fact, even a lot of retail, bigger grocery stores will do that if you ask them.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Especially if they have a service case. The thing is, a lot of grocery stores are starting to move towards pre-packed, where it's all done at a central location, and
so crazy.
It is, but you're seeing it more and more, where there's less that they cut in store and more that just comes in pre-packaged, and they basically, the guys working in the meat departments are glorified stalkers.
I mean, from a business perspective,
I get it.
I completely understand, and I'm like,
I get it,
but
man, I hate the centralization of it. But if you know that place that, you know, they'll usually have a bell or they'll have a service case, and you can talk to the guys in the white coats that come out, and you can ask them for a custom cut. They will more than likely sell you a whole primal right in the cryovac bag without a problem. And usually, not always, you may pay for it at the same. If you order like a whole ribeye, you may pay for it at ribeye price, but most of the time they're going to charge you less because they don't have to open it up, get their knives and the cutting board dirty and dick with it. They're just ready to get rid of it. That's great. It's a sale, you know? So most of the time, that's a pretty good way to do it. I know here in Texas, it's kind of a regional thing, but one of the bigger chains that's a local place is HEB. They're a really good grocery store overall. I like them. I know I can walk in there and ask them for anything that they've got in the back, and they'll bring it out to me. So
we have Hannaford's.
Hannaford's. Wow.
Yep.
That's like that sounds like you didn't know whether you were going to name your daughter Hannah or Jennifer, and you just went with both.
Yep.
That's probably the story behind it. Anyway, Tori says, we've done this before, but what's a good knife as a home butcher to get? Depends what you're doing.
Yeah.
For most people, I think if you're just starting out and learning, a good set of chef's knives is probably what you need, especially if you're just doing some retail cuts at home. Something that's like a good boning or a fillet style knife for breaking things down is nice, and maybe like a larger chef's knife. I think it's a good place. If you're really starting to look into getting into butchery, you're probably going to want a dedicated skinning knife. You're going to want some sort of a boning knife, and you're going to want at least a breaking knife. And I think me and Kyle did a whole breakdown episode on knives a couple episodes back.
Sure. I was thinking about doing a video on it.
Right. I'll share some links and stuff like that as well. I think I may have some linked. There is, for as far as a boning knife goes, there's one I've really been impressed with lately. And I think I've actually got it set up as an item that links to Amazon over on renegadebutcher.com. It's the cold steel semi-flex straight boning knife. I've enjoyed using it. So let's see here. And Tori was saying that she's broken down that the rib roast because of a video that I posted. I remember posting it back around Christmas. I bought a couple of rib roasts that were cheap and did some breakdown videos. And I think Brian still talks about it. Some of the tomahawks that they had for New Year's. They really enjoyed that came off of those. So, and I've still got some ribeyes in the freezer from that thing actually. But yeah, that was a cool little thing. I need to do more stuff like that, just more little breakdown type things, because a lot of people who are watching this may not be ready to yet, or may never actually go and process a whole animal, but they still want to learn, like, how do I break down this big retail cut that I got for cheap, you know?
Right.
And yeah,
no, it's a good, like, even if it's not something you can consider a skill, but it's something you know how to do, like, you're like, it's not pretty, but it's, hey, guess what? I'm saving money on this.
Absolutely. And well, the only way you're going to fuck it up, just know that it's going to look terrible compared to what you see on a store shelf, unless you've got a really bad butcher. But that's the only way to learn it, is to go and do it. And guess what? That ugly steak is still going to taste good.
Right. And guess what?
The beautiful
we do this
about
for a
it,
living, and we still screw stuff up.
Yeah, we're gonna make mistakes. We're just a lot harsher on ourselves than we would be on anybody else. You know, like Kyle's looking at like his high level skill of slaughter, and he's like nitpicking every little thing, and nobody even sees the issues if they're not like in this world. So,
I literally just had somebody text me. I couldn't tell, like, because I was like, that video was all right. Like, we were talking about it earlier. They're like, I couldn't tell. It looks great.
Right. Exactly.
As we're talking about it. Like,
Haas says he got that commercial series knife I've been talking about. Yeah. What do you think about it, Haas? Have you used it at all yet? Or, actually put it to the test, or did you just pick it up just to have it around? Because I've been really impressed with it overall. I'm usually hard on boning knives. I almost always end up either putting a bow in the knife or snapping a tip, or I lend it to like my helper and they break a tip and I'm really pissed for a while. A lot of them are very thin profile, you know? So I just, Yeah, I always keep some shitty knives around to lend out. So anymore.
Oh, for sure.
I'm to that point where I've got so many knives now. I'm like, yeah, you can have that one and you can use that one. I keep my favorites to myself. But that one, I bought it as just like because it was on sale. It was like $20. Bought it as like just kind of a whim. Like, let me try it. I didn't even know they had a commercial line, and I liked it. Like damn, this thing's good. I enjoy this.
Some of those $20 knives are the best goddamn knives.
Right. Well, I mean, really Steel's a good brand, but they're always kind of more the EDC or sort of gimmicky, whatever. But this, the grip, some people would probably love it or hate it. It has a texture to it, which can make it a little harder to clean. I don't mind it though, but it really gives you a great handle on the knife, and it's not too thin, it's not too thick for me. I've got big hands. And I really like the fact that it has a no, I really like the fact that a lot of boning knives, especially the straight boning knives, have a really thin profile. There's not much meat to them. I like a little flex to them, so that's great. But this thing's actually wide. It's like 1.25 inches deep.
See, we've had this conversation before because I don't like the flex. I would
I know you don't. I know you don't.
Rigid.
Yeah.
And I can actually like put weight on and like really like get in there and do stuff with.
Yeah, I use my breaking knife for that.
Personally,
I use my breaking knife for that most of the time if I've got to do some leveraging type stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, it's different styles, and that's the thing. The one thing I do like about that though is it's really good for when you're working into those difficult places like in a hip bone.
Yeah.
When you
like I always keep my flex knife there for like doing the H bone.
When you're doing H bones, when you're doing which if you guys who are listening, I know if you don't know the terminology, you're fine. Yeah. I always thought for a long time when we said H bone, somebody was just, we're so lazy we can't say hip, we just abbreviate it. No, it's actually the name of the bone in butcher terminology. It's spelled AICH, but it is the hip bone of the animal. So it's one of the trickier places to learn to actually debone, get in there. And if you've ever done like a hog or a deer, when you're breaking that muscle, down, you got to get in there and keep that knife right on it. So it's a little bit tricky. A flex knife does help with that. But let's see what the other thing I was saying with that particular knife is it's small enough that you can actually do delicate work with it. Like you can get in there and control the tip, and it's not like just swinging a cleaver, but it's also big enough that you can do everything you need to on a deer or on poultry with, like you could get by if that's the only knife you had, if that's the biggest you're ever doing, you probably could get by on pork. But beef, you probably do want a bigger knife if you want to do any. Hell, you're gonna have a hard time doing good looking round steaks for sure with something that small.
They're gonna be real.
Yeah.
Let's see stuff.
Here. But yeah, he says he hasn't used it yet, but maybe on the next beef. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Let's see here. Where's Lisa? Lisa says her 50-year-old husband, who just asked what I was listening to. I said it's butchery, so nothing you would like. They're talking about boning knives. He started giggling like a teenage boy. Damn, I'm living with a full-grown child. It's okay. We still giggle when we hear boning knives.
God.
And if you're around butchers long enough, I mean, they'll just start calling their boning knife a boner. Like they will be like, "Hey, hand me my boner," And they don't. After a while, you don't think anything of it. You still giggle internally, but
no, we're children.
Oh, absolutely. You have to have a healthy sense of humor to be in this line of work. It's a part of it,
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see here. And Haas was saying basically they've got some kind of a deal with the place where they're getting some meat, I guess. They sell, it must be the grocery stores he's talking about. They sell family packs of different meats, like chicken and beef and everything together.
I hated those so much.
I bet, because it's a hard thing. You can't
put those together so much. They sucked so bad.
And you're going to have to deal with cross-contamination and everything. Yeah, I don't think I would deal with that if I was doing stuff.
And it was also like so gross because it would always be like, my manager would just be like, well, you know what to do. Take the oldest shit, put it in the box.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, ugh. And at that point, it's like chicken that's 2 days till it's almost passed. So all the cellophane's full of blood, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, Ice is their butcher shop. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and it's not always like that, but I've not been impressed with the family pack type style things in the past. It's just, oh well. I mean, I'm not saying it's all bad, but I tell you what, from a retail perspective of somebody who's selling it, I don't get why somebody wants to just go buy the big pack. You could just buy all the things that you actually want, a la carte, and get what you actually want. Because the thing about those packs is it's always a way for the guy who's packing it up to unload shit he otherwise wouldn't sell.
Right. I will say, at the place I apprenticed at, we did family packs.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed those. Those were cool.
Yeah.
Because it was cuts that we didn't always have in the case. And at this point, I was barely touching the knife. Like, it's a quote unquote apprenticeship. Like, you can pick up a knife every now and then and do whatever. Like, but
yeah, I mean, I always look at it from like the perspective of like, if I'm making that up, it's going to be, hey, it's going to be for a discount, and all the things that I'm going to put in that case and are not going to sell, they're going to go in the box because you're going to just buy the box, and then it's out the door, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. That's the advantage from the side of the guy selling it. And so, just it's one of those, and I'm sure a lot of those cuts are very usable for a lot of things, but it's kind of the buyer beware. You may not be getting as good of a deal as you think you might be, But then again, maybe I'm just
with it though. We did stuff, chicken breasts.
Oh yeah, okay.
Meals.
Well, if you were doing like the bougie high end stuff too.
Well, no, this was at the place I apprenticed at. That's where I actually learned to make all the bougie stuff.
Ah, yes.
So all of a sudden I show up at the bougie place that wasn't so bougie. And
you're like, let me make this shit better.
Right. I started blowing minds. They're like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. This is crazy.
This guy actually butchers. Holy shit.
Oh, weird.
We have a real meat cutter.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That's the other thing that I guarantee you did the same thing back then. You were doing all this fancy retail stuff and everything, and you're all like,
I thought I was king shit.
I'm the best. I'm a butcher. I'm awesome. And then you actually get into real butchery and you understand why actual butchers hate it when somebody calls themselves that, or somebody goes off about it, and you're like, no, it's a meat cutter. There is a difference.
It's if like I could go back in time and kick my own ass.
Oh, I would
6-7 years ago.
I totally would
beat the shit out of myself.
You'd be like, you moron, you know nothing.
Shut up.
It's like calling your oil change tech a mechanic. It's like not a disrespect or whatnot, but it's not the
guy who comes out and diagnoses your car at AutoZone. Call him a mechanic. That's essentially the same thing.
Basically, yes. Because while cutting meat, all butchers are meat cutters. Not all meat cutters are butchers. While cutting meat is a very essential skill and a part of it, and it's where most of us start, it's not anywhere near everything you need to know to either get into the heavy-duty charcuterie side, to get into the end processing, to get into the slaughter, to get into even breaking full carcasses. Most of that stuff's not done in store anymore. Most of these guys, we'll like to call them cardboard cowboys down here.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Right? Like they've never seen
I'm saving that one.
I had a guy that was training me how to cut for the case at one point, and this is when I knew I was fucked. That I really need to go back to YouTube and finish my education, because I already was knowing stuff he was telling me, and not like things like I went and binge watched stuff and knew. No, we're sitting there cutting ribeyes the one day, and we'd mostly been doing wild game over the last like 3 months. And he just stops and looks at me and he goes, I was watching some YouTube stuff last night, and I didn't even realize ribeye comes from like the backstrap of the cow.
Ugh.
And I think I put my knife down and actually looked at him, and he was like, what? I'm like, you're training me. And you didn't know what part of the cow this came from, but that's the sad part. Is that's a lot of guys that are out there. They've never seen anything that didn't come out of a cardboard box in a cryovac bag, But so there's a lot of guys out there that talk big shit, and I'm not trying to like say I know everything. I'm always learning new shit, but it's amazing. The more you get into this, the more you realize you don't know, or you.
Because the shitty part after you all of a sudden. It's different levels of feeling like king shit. Like every now and then you catch yourself and you just go, you know what? I was an idiot back then. I knew nothing.
And then you have to stop yourself and go, I'm probably an idiot now, and in 5-10 years from now, I'll look back and go, what were you doing?
Right.
And guess what? You'll have a record of it on a podcast. You're going to look back
10 years from then and go, wait, man, I was an idiot.
You'll have a record of it on a podcast of how much of an idiot you were on the internet.
Oh, my God.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Your wife will get to tell you that she was right the whole time.
Well, she usually is.
Yeah, well, Haas has got a question here. He says, so where do the reputable butcher shops get their meat? Do they buy them from ranches, auctions, grow their own? Was always curious how they get the prime meats. I'm going to answer every question with it depends. I think for infinity. But you got anything on that, Kyle, before I dive in?
No, go for it.
Okay, so it depends. It really does. The best thing you can do is talk to them. As far as a reputable butcher shop, that's a broad category because there are guys that they're good butcher shops and they're good retail providers and stuff, but they're getting their stuff from IBP and Swift and whatnot. And you can get
they're all getting it from the same place.
You can get good meat through those packing houses. A lot of good prime beef does go through it. It's not my preference, but I won't turn up my nose at it. But if you want good quality and you want to know where it comes from, the best thing you can do is get in touch with the rancher and find out who does their butcher work and find that guy. And it's usually the small scale places. And some of these guys are raising their own beef and processing their own. A lot of them are doing similar to Kyle, where they're raising their own and processing their own, but they're processing other people's too. And some guys they may raise a cow or two on the side for themselves, but they don't ever fuck with it. And they just process for other people.
Right.
And, and that's the guys who are actually processing. A lot of those guys aren't running a retail shop because that's the hard part is you've got to juggle not only retail licensing and your city ordinances and all that fun shit, you've got to be full USDA if you're going to do retail, if you're going to sell individual cuts. So most of these guys who are doing the individual beef, they're the guys you're buying a quarter or a half of beef that's processed. You buy a portion of the cow live type deal. That's really the way to go, in my opinion, if you want to know for sure where the beef came from. I'm not saying there aren't guys out there that are doing full USDA facilities and selling retail cuts. There are a few of them out there.
That's a whole different licensing.
It is. It's a lot more red tape, and you're probably going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it in price per pound for sure. Those guys, that is a bougie shop, and it's not going to be your value meats at all. And they're charging that for good reason because their costs are high.
Right. We're literally just talking about the old shop I used to work at.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly what happened.
So that's the thing. If you're buying a whole or a half beef, you're probably getting it from you're going to know where it came from. If you're buying retail meats, talk to the guys behind the counter, find out where they get them. And unless they specifically are telling you that it's their meat and they raise it themselves, they process it themselves, they slaughter it themselves, more than likely it came from Cargill, IBP, one of the big 5 processors. And, that's 99.9% of places where you buy pre-cut meat.
Yeah, like when I used to order, like when I was at the Whining Butcher. Oh, did I ever tell you that's the name? The Whining Butcher.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to know what else we sold besides meat?
What?
Wine.
Oh, wow. No way.
Yeah.
No way. Lisa's asking, she says she's patiently waiting on a sheep video for Kyle.
I know.
It's coming. I think it's your next episode, isn't it?
It definitely isn't. But
oh, it's not?
No, I have some sheep on the radar from a neighbor.
Oh,
just need to get the money.
Well, isn't that your next podcast though? Didn't you say you were doing Katahdin sheep next? So there's at least he's going to talk about it. He may not show it yet, but he's going to talk about it. So what's that?
We're gonna talk about it.
It's at Saturday. He's already dreading it. Let's talk about sheep.
I am. I just remembered. I'm like, I did say it was Katahdin's on Saturday. Shit.
God damn it.
I didn't like talking about it.
Oh man. Let's see here. Haas says, oh yeah, we pay for it at the shop we go to. I believe they're USDA too. They even do specialized meats drying. Yeah. Some of those high-end places, you're definitely going to pay for it, but for good reason. Oh, they're doing the temp control. So they're doing the dry age steaks and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And get some good stuff from them. For sure.
Yeah, we had multiple buyers like when I was managing that place because we had just our normal like shipping company out of Boston that we got the bulk of our stuff from.
Yep.
And then there was another there was another smaller warehouse in Boston that did like a lot more of the specialty cuts. Like if we ever needed something like dry aged or anything like along those lines, we'd call them and they'd do an order.
Yeah. Yep. Well, a lot of places are doing that now too, especially when they get that invested that we're doing our own processing, we're doing our own slaughter. We've got a retail case, we're full USDA. I mean, you're so far into it at that point. Why not have like a set dry aging chamber that you can just sell like $70 a pound, freaking 45-day aged ribeyes and stuff like that? I would,
Yeah.
At that point, you're so busy dealing with red tape and controls and monitoring and having a USDA inspector up your ass, you pretty much just do whatever you need to.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that I didn't follow the retail dreams I had. It's because I wanted to have my own shop and
everybody does. That's all.
Then it's like
the thought.
But then I worked in that, and I was like, this is awful. Like
every day, it's retail in general, any industry. Because I've worked retail in the majority of industries at some point in my life. Right. A lot of grocery though, and it's a very frustrating place to be. You see people at their worst.
Everyone should do it.
Oh, I think everybody should, just because it'll make you treat retail people a lot better. You'll understand what they go through, but it's a stressful job. There's a lot of work. You're underpaid, and you see people at their worst.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I almost wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, here we go. Lisa's got you hooked up over here. She says, her breed. She'll be looking forward to it. If you need any extra info or pictures, let her know. She'd be happy to help you out. So Lisa's going to help supply you with some podcast content, hopefully.
Oh, I'll be messaging you, Lisa. I promise.
Sure, there you go. He's just gonna be like, write a podcast for me, Lisa, please. I don't want to talk about sheep.
I'll even have you on it.
Hey, there you go. If you want, Lisa, he's looking for some interviews on breed specific. So if you want to do an interview show on Katahdin sheep, that's probably a good first toe in the water for him running an interview show.
Yeah, you'll probably teach me more about this than I'll be able to teach you.
You'll know the processing side better, but you'll know the breed better.
Right.
Yep.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I did almost break and bartered for those sheep for some lambs.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no.
Not doing it. Don't want to.
Shut up. Get out of my head.
That's why I keep kicking myself in the ass because I hate processing poultry, but I always end up collecting or hatching more poultry because I like keeping it. I enjoy it. I like the poultry breeding and the experimenting with it, and they're cool to have around and everything. But I always end up with extra cold birds that I've got to process, and I hate it so much. It's just like the most miserable fucking thing to do.
It really is.
Oh my god, dang it! So I put it off for way too long. Usually, when I get myself in shit.
Right.
So
because that's a day. That's a whole day.
It's so frustrating that I'm covered, and it's messy too, messier than it should be. I'm covered in blood. Feathers. I'm covered in feathers. I've had to fight these things. I've been slapped in the face by a wing at least 3 times already, and I've got to show for it 5 skinny ass fucking roosters that are only good for the soup pot, and I've got a huge mess to clean up. And the amount of time that I took to do this, I could have put a whole fucking beef in a cooler.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, great, 20 fucking pounds of meat, and the whole day gone.
I might have the best poultry slaughter story.
Oh God, here we go. Go for it, man.
So this was at me and my wife's first house. It was on a third of an acre, and I had a 20 by 20 foot area that was like my mini farm that was attached to a shed, and that's where I had all of my birds, and I did all of the processing, so the dogs couldn't get into it. And we did 12 turkeys for free for our neighbor because I had never processed turkeys. And I was like, I just want the experience. I'll just do it.
Right.
I'm not promising you it's going to be amazing because this is going to be my first time doing it, but I will do it for free.
I'll learn for free. Yeah.
For the experience. It took 13 hours. I was using a trash can filled with water over a like cheapo turkey fryer that it was the first one I had ever owned that had like the timer on it. So it'll only go for 15 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
Dude, it was awful. So in the middle of this, two of my buddies had come down to help me because I was like, they want to do something, like, want to do this with me? And they're like, I guess so. Like, fuck it. So we're already drinking.
We're going to learn today.
Right. We're already drinking. And we had just bled one. So again, there's 3 of us in this tiny corner surrounded by feathers and birds. It was crazy. And all of a sudden, I see someone walk to my neighbor's house, walk to my other neighbor's house, and they're on their way to my gate. And I'm like, fantastic. Because it just looked like someone that I probably wouldn't agree with in any standpoint whatsoever.
They look a little bit liberal.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So lit a cigarette, opened a beer, and put my arms directly into the flow of the turkey bleeding out. Like I was.
You walked out there with a beer and a cigarette covered in blood, and you're like, "What in California are you doing in my driveway?"
And I walked up.
Sorry, that was the Texan. Voice.
I told my buddy, I was like, "Look, like in the hedges until I'm about halfway there, and just yell something at me." Like, that's it. Like, just do that. And he did that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And then I just continue to walk up.
You need somebody to just like hide in the bushes and play mysterious banjo music.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So I walk up and she is visibly scared and like shaky voice. And she's like, we were here to see if you were registered to vote. And if you would consider Hillary Clinton for president. And I looked her dead in the eye, and it was like the cinematic moment. I took a drag of the cigarette and just blew it out and was like, I don't vote for felons. And then I just turned around and walked away. It might be the highlight of my life. And
one of those moments that you really wish had been on film.
Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, that's fucking great. Oh, shit. Oh, Haas has got something down here. He said he tried sheep once. I think he cooked it wrong. So never touched it again. However, tried goat and loved it. And then he says learning to cook different meats helps a lot. Yeah, it's interesting too, because that's a big category. Like sheep, you could have gotten an old ram that was just kind of funky or kind of lean. I don't know why you didn't like it, if it had a strong flavor. Or was it just tough? Or, what was it about it that you didn't enjoy?
You can screw them up pretty quick.
Goat can be fucking good. I mean, goat gets a bad rap. Everybody thinks it's going to taste like an old rank billy goat. It's going to be like really strong and everything. Goat can be really mild. Honestly, goat's very similar to venison. But if you do have an old rank billy goat, you're going to know about it, and you'll know about it long before you're skinning it.
Yeah. I had a family friend today text me and go, any interest in a white Nigerian dwarf goat? And I'm like, do you want it dead?
Exactly.
Then, because yes, I will slaughter that animal for you. But if you're asking me to take it, no. I think I just sent 3 memes in a row just going, no.
Right. He said it had a strong flavor. The goat had a sweet taste. So 1 of 2 things probably was a factor. Well, maybe 3. It could have been that it was an older male.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been that it was not handled properly and it was just off, which could happen. Or it could be something goofy like it was what feed it was eating. If it was eating certain graze that time of year that really gave a strong flavor, maybe it was grazing on a bunch of wild onions, Yeah. So, and he said the goat.
Some of those rams, when you break them down, it's like you're skinning out like a ruddy buck.
They've got that testosterone and all that funk going on in the pheromones.
That funk, that's the best word for it.
Yeah, and he said the goat was sweet tasting, but the goat was 4-H raised, so that was a grain fed goat. It was a meat goat, I guarantee you too. So you kind of got the best of the best on the goat side, but the sheep, it probably just sounds like it was, who knows. A lot of sheep are. That's why they call them lamb. Yeah, a lot of sheep are processed fairly young. That's why there's such a distinction between lamb and mutton too in different dishes, because it's a different flavor. Like sheep gets more of an aged flavor as it matures.
Yeah, I think that's the other reason I don't like them.
Lisa says, when you cook goat too hot and scorch it, your house will stink for days. Gospel truth. Take it. Voice of experience there, huh? I've not ever really had rank goat, but I've had some weird shit brought to me before.
Yep.
Oh, I've had to process some goats. Oh my god, there was this goat. We called it the fucking Satan goat. At one point, got brought to the place I was working at. I was running the kill floor. I was hated having to. Now I think about it, I hated having to do goats back then because I was like, no, it just not so much the killing and the processing, or the actual like skinning and everything. I didn't mind it that much. It always kind of feels like a waste of time because it takes you almost as much time to do it as you would like
6
a small
pounds of usable grind.
Right, but I'm like, whatever. We have to have a flat rate on smaller shit. Like if it's under like 200 pounds or whatnot, you're still paying $150 no matter what. So it's fine. Like we make our money, and if we can upsell you on some sausage because it may be a little bit of a stronger flavored goat, then great. Anyways, this thing though was one of those. It was one of those billy goats that has like the double curled horns, and it was pitch fucking black. So I mean, it's obviously this is the Satan goat. Right. It shows up, and
this thing's gonna eat my kids.
Some dumbass just puts it out in the pens. Well, the cattle pens. Guess what? It's out in the parking lot. So I've got to deal with this thing. So I've got to go catch it, deal with it, which pain in the ass, chasing a goat around, especially a pissed off goat. And this thing was rank, like you could smell it. I'm like, who wants this thing processed? God damn,
It's never a good story. No. It's never like, yep, went to this farm, got a goat.
Get this goat. I get it back in the pen, and I try to put a tether on it, basically just put a lead on it and tie it up to the corner because I'm like, you're next. But I got to finish up what I'm working on here. I've got a pig hanging here. Wait your turn.
Right.
So I come back out, and there's just the lead hanging, and there's the goat. I'm like, where the fuck are you? I finally ended up chasing the damn goat onto the kill floor, getting it cornered, getting it tied up again with the lead, took it back out, and we locked it in a trailer. I can't remember if it got out of the trailer or not, but it sure tried. It was like screaming and kicking and flipping around in there and shit. I know, just being a total piece of shit. And so I ended up having to just drag it out of the trailer and into the kill floor through the walk-in door and just tie it up and just get the thing done.
Right.
I couldn't get the smell of billy goat out of that kill floor for a week. And yes. I tell you, I literally would be putting so much bleach on the floor when I cleaned up that place at night that you couldn't breathe in the room. Like you have to leave and be like, it's good. It's going to sit and just the air is going to sanitize for the next 12 hours type thing. A week of that, I couldn't get rid of it. Finally figured out I still had the lead hanging over in the corner, and it was so saturated in that smell that fucking rope was just permeating the whole room with that goat smell. And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, when you have that really strong ranked billy goat, just you don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
Castrate that damn thing if you really are determined, but you're not getting anything worthy out of that goat worth actually putting on your plate. No matter what you do at that point,
Yeah, that's tough.
If your intention is to eat a damn goat, castrate it young.
Yeah, for sure. I would have kept that skull out of spite, though.
Oh, I really wish I could have. They wanted the head.
Oh,
God, I wish I had kept that thing.
Oh, there were so many of those.
I did keep a head of one. And this is a kind of a terrible story, and it sounds horrible, but it was a curly horn goat. It wasn't one of the Jacobs she's talking about here, the 4-horned sheep. Yeah. But it was a cool little thing. But I was bringing it into the off the chute into the kill box, and you can't just open the door and let them in because they'll just flip around and jump out and all kinds of stuff because it's built for cattle. Goats, I don't know what it is, how they do it with their little hooves or whatever, but goats are like Spider-Man. They climb anything. They're extremely agile. Anyways, so the way I had to handle this thing, because I didn't want to go get the lead, was I put my forearm underneath of his curled horns and just gripped the horn and held it, and I was walking him with me. I'm like, I have control of his head. Great. which was fine. He was following along with me. It was low stress on the animal and everything like that. And then I get in, I shut the door behind me, and this goat decides he wants to start doing the Matrix running up the wall thing. So he starts does like a backflip and like tries to kick off the pen, and all of a sudden I'll just hear a pop and he goes limp. And I'm like, what the? I'm holding this thing's head locked in. He ain't going nowhere. And he just flips and broke his own neck. And I'm like, I felt so bad because I was like, I can't even shoot him now. I just had to bleed it. But I did everything I had to do everything I could to like put him down like humanely. But I'm like literally, and I couldn't even say like I just broke this thing's neck. I didn't. Like it broke its own neck. It was just in my hands at the time. But probably a 40-pound goat, it's not big.
Right.
But I'm like, oh my God. Like it was just the weirdest thing. Like, I'm like, that's just actually I kept that head. I kept that head because it's one of the few skulls that I've ever brought home that didn't have a bullet hole in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything has a bullet hole.
Exactly.
Everything.
Oh, and yeah, Lisa says it's the lanolin, so wool breeds will have a stronger flavor. Yeah, the lanolin in their wool. So that's why so many people are big about the hair sheep for meat, because not only do you have less maintenance and you don't have like if you have a wool breed sheep and you don't shear it, it will just like die. Like they just don't stop growing hair. But yeah, having that lack of lanolin, I think somehow gets in the meat. I don't know so much if it seeps in through the skin, but it probably gets all over your fucking hands and you just can't wash that shit off while you're doing the processing too, which is not the greatest. Let's see here. Haas says, goats can be a pain in the ass to raise, like watching your young kids 24/7. Yeah, this is why I avoid keeping goats. I've got one older big boar goat that does some mowing for me and whatnot, and he's a little bit too heavy bodied to do too much acrobatics. He still does get on my nerves, and there's not a week that goes by that I don't threaten to make him sausage. But yeah, raising goats, like I've thought about having dairy goats and stuff because I'd love to just have the raw milk around. Yeah, no, fuck that. I've been around enough goats. I've had enough experience dealing with enough goats. I've seen stories of people with goats, and I don't need that stress in my life.
No, that's literally just adding like the risk reward ratio on goats for me is like, no,
there's just a lot they're a lot of work. I mean,
it's like, it reminds me of that old Jim Gaffigan joke.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about like, what's it like to have 5 kids? And then he goes, well, imagine you're drowning and then someone hands you a baby. Like that's
pretty much
like, that's how I feel about goats and sheep. It's like, I can't.
Every day's a project. Every day something new.
I would rather raise something that grows 5 to 10 times that size.
Yeah,
it's easier somehow.
You do have to have the room, and I never thought I'd be in the position where I would say this, but I don't want to deal with anything dairy. I love dairy. I'm a huge dairy fan, but I don't want to have to milk something once or twice a day. I don't need more on my plate. But if I did want to raise something for dairy, I would totally go with a milk cow over goats. And I'll actually like goat milk. I actually enjoy goat milk. There's nothing wrong with it, and I'll take it. I will happily barter goat's milk from other people. But man, if I've got to deal with something and actually milk it, a cow is way less fucking drama than a goat.
Oh my God, it's so much less drama.
I mean, I'll pay
one of my customers. I literally look at them every time. Go for it. I'm sorry.
I said I'll pay the extra feed bill or have to have the extra space to raise the damn cow.
Yeah.
Goats are better for a small area, sure, but they're going to get out of that small area.
10 out of 10 times.
Maybe 11. They might find ways to. Goats are like the ultimate anarchist animal. They defy you. They will break the system. Goats are like cats that can climb better and have horns.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, that is a perfect analogy. Yeah, they're
not so bad if you raise them in your house.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea.
And make them pets.
So much more.
Okay. Yeah, totally. I want a house goat. Great. No, thank you. I'll pass. Thank you.
My husband bought me 2 for our wedding, and they live in the house.
And you still married him? Sorry, buddy, but what?
She's probably the reason they live in the house. Yeah.
You can have that. Yes, it's a carrot.
I'll pass on the house goats. Thank you. Now it
was his idea.
I've had a lot of weird animals that have ended up in the house because of an injury or whatnot. And it's as much of a cold-hearted butcher I am, I'll try to nurse them back to health, especially if it's a younger animal. So I've had temporary house ducks and house chickens, and I actually had a goose that lived in the house almost its entire life. At one point, crazy. I know.
There are days I don't even want my kids in the house.
There's days I don't even want anybody in the house. But yeah, no, I can't imagine a goat. Wow, that's got to be wild. I mean, the dog's bad enough.
He's pretty chill.
Wow.
We got 6 dogs. We got a goat. We got a lamb. I got a squirrel. We got breast chickens growing up in the incubator.
All in the house?
And we have 600 square feet.
Oh my God.
You have 6 dogs.
Plus all the ducks and chickens outside.
6 dogs.
And the rabbits outside.
2 goats and a squirrel in your house.
I don't know how that's
Well, we lost 1 goat.
Wow.
The squirrel was my Mother's Day present this year.
That's pretty awesome.
And you guys
my son caught it. It's a young.
Because that sounds like the most Alabama thing I've
nobody
ever
knows.
heard in my life.
And in an HOA.
I love it. That is fucking phenomenal.
I've always wanted a pet raccoon.
That is great. I love that. Oh my
That's
God.
our next one.
Oh, hey, Frank is jumping in.
We just got to trap the baby.
It should be very. What I don't get is how people manage to do like raccoons in the house. I've known people. I've known people that have rehabbed them, and their life is wild, man. It's nothing like a normal person's life. It's like people who have pet monkeys. They get into everything. They can break into everything. They're smarter than you. Like these things will crack fucking locks. I mean, you can't keep them out of shit, and they will go out of their way to fuck up your life for fun.
He's like, it's the combination of like a cat and a monkey.
Yeah. If a cat and the monkey both.
Yeah, we had a friend that had a skunk and a raccoon at the same time.
Was it deskunked at least, or I hope?
It was insanity.
Did he have it as a pet, or was he homeless?
Just raise it from a baby.
No, he did not actually have a deskunked.
Oh, it was a baby.
What?
That's crazy.
Oh my God! How much?
Him and the raccoon were just best friends. It was fine. They don't smell like anything if they're not being nasty. It never sprayed once in its whole life. It was hand raised, like bottle fed. It never had any fear of anything. Raised with dogs and cats. It just was like, I don't know. He wasn't even.
I'm not.
He was just like a cat.
Once is too much.
I'm not willing to risk that. Like I'm going to close the.
He used to bring it to church on a regular basis.
Wow.
What? Are you sure?
He brought that thing freaking everywhere.
Are you sure? Because this, like I said, this is the most Alabama conversation I've
I live up in the hills.
Podcast just took oh my God.
I always told everyone I was born in the wrong era and in the wrong state.
You were born on the wrong side of the country for sure.
I say that all the time about living in the Northeast.
See, I was born in the country as well.
You can't beat the weather though.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Frank. Go for it, man.
Okay. So I used to skin, trap and skin raccoons back when you could get like $5, when $5 was kind of a little bit of money back in like 30 years ago. But anyway, coons and fox and even possums, but raccoons, when you skin them, they stink so bad.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard the meat's good though.
It depends on what they're eating. That's really what it comes down to.
Like
and they'll get into and eat just about anything. So if they're eating like something weird or just rank stuff or getting into people's garbage all the time, they're going to be kind of funky. But the ones that like live near a cornfield or some shit, man, yeah, that's.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Have you had woodchuck?
I have not had it myself, but I've heard it's really good.
It was delicious. I went a little fancy with it for no reason whatsoever. We quartered it out.
How often do you eat woodchuck? You may as well go bougie with it.
Right. And it was just one that we had been trying to get. My buddy was like, give me the gun. I'm like, okay. I was too drunk. He just goes, bang. And that woodchuck was the first animal to be processed on the winch in the shop.
Wow. On the winch too. Nice.
We had already had a couple beers at this point, and I'm like, there's still construction debris everywhere. I like unpeeled a bunch of wire, like electrical wire, like scrap stuff, and made a gambrel for the woodchuck.
Oh, Jesus.
Took the winch all the way down to the floor, hooked up the gambrel, picked it all the way up.
You did the whole shebang.
We didn't ordeal of it. It was the first animal.
So that's going to be the debut of Kyle's first country music song. It's going to be Too Drunk to Shoot a Woodchuck.
Yeah, that's a good one though.
Yeah,
but anyway, I had some brine left over, so I tossed it in like a mojo brine for 4 days, rinsed it off, smoked it, and then confit it on the smoker in pork lard.
Oh, Jesus, Gordon Ramsay.
Right. Actually, pork lard, we had also smoked just the whole back fat.
Right.
Like with just a whole chunk of back fat. We
smoked woodchuck fat, because why not?
Yes. It was amazing.
I bet it was. Hey, you know what surprised the shit out of me? And I am probably the only person I know for sure that has eaten this. Other people online have. I looked it up. I did my research before I decided to jump into this, and some people still like freak out when I tell them this. But armadillo. And believe it or not, what's that? Not always. No, there is an isolated population of armadillos in South Florida that are known to potentially carry bubonic plague. No, not bubonic plague. Not bubonic plague. No, leprosy. It's not plague.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Leprosy is what I heard.
Woodchucks, not woodchucks. Prairie dogs. Prairie dogs carry plague.
Yes.
Anyways. But yeah, so the leprosy thing, first of all, used to be a huge deal like back in biblical days. But for one thing, nowadays it's extremely treatable with basic antibiotics. So it's not really that big of a thing. The other thing is typically it requires like blood to blood contact. So, I was like, the risk that this thing actually carries it is extremely low considering my area. I'm also going to be super clean with it. I'll wear gloves and not cut myself. And I was fine. It's still been a running joke. Like even now, it's been like 8 years later. Every time I run into this one dude, this is a fun story too. I'll have to get into it. But anyway, I just took the whole dang thing and basically put it in the crock pot and treated it like a pork roast. And you know what? That was like some of the richest, most flavorful pulled pork I've ever had. Like I had other people that are really picky, like know what it was and try it, and they're like, "Damn, that's good. I'm going back for a second sandwich." And then so I was working at the deer processor where I was first learning to cut meat at the time. It was shortly after I had moved down here. This was a freak thing. I didn't go out and like hunt an armadillo or anything like that. I was working on some shit out back and digging a drainage trench, and they don't have really good sight, so I think it was just confused. But like a thing just came out of the bushes and just like started running at me, and I'm like, what the hell? Weird. So I moved to the side and it like stopped because it heard me move. And then it like redirected and started running at me again where I had sidestepped. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I moved again and it like redirected. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I kind of just panicked when it got about 6 feet from me. And I just pulled my 22 and popped like perfect headshot on this armadillo. And I'm like, well, now I kind of feel bad. I feel like I wasted it. I may as well do something with the armadillo. So I did.
Snapping turtle is really good too.
Right. So I went, I cooked it up. And like I said, it was good. So I made up sandwiches, took them to work. I'm sitting there at lunch. We had this one little dude. He was like the cleanup guy, janitor. He'd help with sausage and stuff in the back. He'd always come up and he'd fuck with everybody. And he'd always steal food from people during lunch. Not like he'd steal their stuff from the refrigerator. This is the little twerp that would walk up and be like, just grab a bite of what you're eating to try it. And it was like annoying enough. But
you mean the guy that would get hit in the face every day at lunch?
Right. But this was great because I'm like, oh, I knew he loves doing this shit. And I usually cuss him out. Usually he doesn't fucking, I just got to look up and just give him a look and he won't come over and fuck with me. So today I just kept my head down and I'm eating. And he walks over and he grabs a little piece of it and he starts eating. And he goes, and he's kind of a goofy little booger. And he's like, "That's some pretty good pork, Josh." I'm like, "That's armadillo." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, that's armadillo. He goes, "You're fucking with me." I'm like, "No. Shot it myself. That's armadillo. Why do you think I brought it for me to eat, not you?"
Oh.
And so the other guy who's over there, he's cutting, the guy who's been training me, he knew what I brought. We were joking about it before. And he just looks over and he goes, "You're going to get leprosy and your dick's going to fall off." So to this day, every time I run into that little dude in public, I'm like, "Did your dick fall off yet?" And he's like, "No."
Jesus.
Oh, it was great. I had
those things are almost blind. One
They
time
really
I was
are.
on the
Yeah.
I was on the ranch one time, and one of my buddies was like, "Man, we threw one of those in the water one time and it sank to the bottom and walked out." I was like, "No way!" So
Dude, they'll walk across the bottom of rivers.
Really? Well, yeah. we ended up catching one. I caught it by the tail. We brought it to the pond, still alive, and I did my discus throw where I was spinning around like 3 times, and I throw this armadillo as far as I could throw it into this pond. I know it's kind of mean, but anyway, and the ground, the bottom was like solid rock almost of this man-made pond thing that they had on this ranch. But anyway, that thing swam, and it was a full-grown armadillo. Wow. This other dude who's like, "No, it's going to go in the bottom and crawl out," but it didn't. It swam
I haven't
out.
Experienced it myself, but I've read that they always wonder how they got here in the U.S. because they migrated up from Mexico, and they're like, well, they came from somewhere, but people have supposedly observed them walking into a river and walking out the other side, and their metabolism's slow enough that they just don't have to breathe for a while.
Huh.
Which is why they're the only thing that actually can be a natural carrier of leprosy in isolated areas, because their body temperature is actually low enough. That's why leprosy actually used to affect mostly fingers and toes and ears and stuff first, because your body temperature, your human body temperature, is actually too high for it to survive. So their body temperature, I think, is something like 92 or something like that.
I see.
So yeah.
Huh. Well, I guess this one was in a panic state or whatever, because he was swimming out. I guess when they're fixing to cross a river or stream or whatever, they,
Well, maybe he had a little more air in him. He was holding in a fart, and the other one wasn't.
Could be.
Yeah, I should have named this episode "Armadillo Farts."
I'm upset you didn't.
I know.
Why did you think of this?
I should have known. God dang, I didn't know this was going to come up. Yeah, Haas says in taxidermy class back in the day, we had a student who did an armadillo, one of the hardest animals to do. I imagine it would be hard to taxidermy.
That would absolutely be insanely difficult.
That would suck.
A ton of taxidermy, but I can tell you right now, that's not something I would probably undertake.
Nope.
Let's see here. Oh, Haas said his kid had, when she was younger, had a rabbit that was litter box trained. It wasn't too bad. Huh.
I've heard that. That one's not completely out of the realm for me.
That's doable. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, Lisa said she had been milking 16 does by hand to feed bottle babies back when she was raising 20 or some bottle babies. No, thank you, Lisa. You can have that. That's
nope, all set.
It's not for me.
We love you, Lisa, but
I'm glad that you want, for the world of goats and goat milk, which I do like. I'm glad people are dedicated to it and they enjoy that. But I do not enjoy goats. Raising them, keeping them around that much. It's too much. Like you said, it's like a full-time job just to keep track of them. I would feel like I could never leave,
Yeah, no, I can never trust anything.
No.
Because I know how anal I am about my pig setups.
And pigs are good at getting out, but they don't climb.
Pigs are really good at getting out. I've never had one get out yet.
Yeah. I saw a good meme a while back.
Audio.
Oh, you hear me?
I hear it. No, I knocked on wood, so I didn't know if that came through the
microphone.
microphone.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you said something about your audio. But no, I think it might have been posted in my group on Telegram. Now that I think about it, there was a meme not too long ago about the fencing for different species. You had your cattle fencing, and pig fencing,
and it was the prison for the goats.
Yeah, it was like just straight up prison with razor wire across the top. I'm like, it's not good enough. They'll still get out of that. They'll find a way over Constantina wire. I promise you. They'll backflip over that shit.
Yeah. It's not even going to be that crazy. It's going to be like in the movies where it's like somebody just escapes immediately. Like somebody walks away like feeling successful about finally getting someone somewhere, and all of a sudden they're standing right next to you.
Like, you ever go anywhere with mountains and there happen to be goats or bighorn sheep or something out there, and they're just standing on like a sheer cliff, and you're like, I don't even know that there's a ledge there. They're just somehow glued to the side. You know, they just don't care. You just climb up on shit to stand on top. They're like cats. They have to find the highest object that they can and stand on it just because it's there. Doesn't matter if it's a quarter-inch higher than the surrounding surface. They're going to get on it.
Right.
Everybody I know who has goats constantly has to deal with getting the goat off the car, getting the goat off the roof. You know,
the entertainment center.
I do not want entertainment center.
Washing machine.
No, God damn it. No, I do not want to have a four-legged fucking hooved animal that can get on my fucking roof. There's nothing right about that.
It almost gives me anxiety to think about it.
There's a reason that goats have been like, you know, associated with Satan for the longest time, I swear.
Yeah, because they're Satan.
Because nothing that's not demonic is going to climb on a roof when it has cloven hoofs, okay?
And the sounds they make, they're terrifying. They are the devil. That's it.
They're just like the embodiment of chaos too. Like you look at a goat. Okay, pigs are stubborn. Like a pig makes up its mind and it's not going somewhere or whatnot. There's nothing more stubborn than a pig. Goats are just malevolent with it. They're like, oh, you want me to do something? I'm going to do the exact opposite and make your life hell for the suggestion.
Oh, I just realized why I hate him so much. I'm dealing with it with my 4-year-old.
Oh, there you go.
Goats are essentially 3 to 4-year-olds.
Angry toddlers. No, specifically your 3 to 4-year-olds.
Well, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's the same reason that I've chosen not to have kids, because I know how I was as a kid. I know how I am as an adult. If I had to raise the child version of me,
don't touch that.
Oh man, I'm not ready for that. I will pay for my own sins. I promise you.
See, I've almost thought about. There was an old comedy bit, but anyway, I've almost thought about like just breaking a door, just to be like, oh, Dad's crazy, and just get that imprinted in there, and then just buy a new door, just for like the.
Oh Jesus! Just rage break the door.
Right.
Oh. No.
I love them so much. I really do.
Patience, but from the stories you've said, you've told us about some of the things they've said, the way that they are. You're in for a really like fun a 30-year-old.
Like I talk like talking to my 4-year-old is a lot like dealing with a hostage negotiator. Honestly, that's what it's like.
I can't wait until that's a teenage girl that's dating and you have to deal with her.
She is going to be an amazing salesman. That's what I'll say. She's going to do fine in business because she will talk anybody into anything except me, and she forgets it all the time.
What was that you said the other day with the?
I don't even know.
She's
so many things.
Just like demanded milk, and you're like, "Fucking excuse me."
Oh, she goes, Dada, milk now. With the eyebrows, like just mouth the word now, and the way your eyebrows normally go, just crazy. I'm like, excuse me, and she just all of a sudden just took her eyes off the television and went, please, thank you, sorry, and just immediately backfired it. Of just like those were all the things I was supposed to.
That moment when you realize I just fucked up.
Exactly, it was so funny. I was like, we're going to let this one slide because I need to walk out of the room so I can laugh. Like,
that's the hardest fucking part. It's like sometimes even with the dogs, they'll do something that like you're trying to get this message through their thick skull, this idea. You're trying to actually do the right thing and train them right. But then they do the wrong thing in such a fucking ridiculously funny way that you're like, I can't laugh. I can't laugh because it just ruins the whole authority of this situation here. I've got to walk out of the room because that was fucking great.
Yeah, no, it's nuts.
I was so frustrated. There was this family member, Husky. I end up in this situation later on in this dog's life. And if you know anything about them, they're ridiculously willful, very smart dogs. And that's the problem. It's they're so intelligent. They know they don't have to listen to you.
Right.
So, if you've been around this dog and you have that rapport established and there's a pecking order, sit down, lay down, don't bother me. You're not allowed to sit here and beg while we're eating. All these things, like basic commands. The dog's super, super intelligent. Like it probably had a vocabulary bigger than most people I know, of words that it actually understood. But now I'm new here, and it's the constant authority challenge type thing. At one point, I had to look at this dog, and I said, it was begging, being a pain, trying to take food and everything. And I got frustrated, and I said, Angel, lay your ass down. And the dog did exactly as I said. It sat. It knows what lay down means. It knows exactly what I wanted. It knows exactly the protocol. It knows what it's supposed to do. And it knows it's fucking up. But it literally just laid its ass down. And I'm like, you fucking bitch.
Well, dogs at that level are almost like,
I know it's like dealing with a teenager. It is not even like dealing with a dog. It's a contest of wills. Yeah. I would get so frustrated when you'd see lists of like, these are the most intelligent dog breeds, and the people who write those lists base them on trainability. So like top of the list is always like lab. No. Labs are like the Forrest Gump of the dog world, okay?
we have one.
They're super sweet. They are super willing to learn and do what you want. But my God, they're not smart.
Dumb as a box of rocks.
Exactly. I'm like, why do you listen? I do not confuse intelligence with obedience. There is a big difference. Then they'll always list like Huskies and German Shepherds low on these lists because they're exceptionally difficult to train. I'm like, no, it's just because they're smarter than most people trying to train them. It's not that they're dumb. It's just that
dogs at that level,
they're also bred to be independent thinkers because they are to perform a job independent of you that might save your life, and they have to know better than you.
Right.
They have to have that confidence. It's bred into them.
Yeah.
So you're like fighting against nature the entire time that you're dealing with them, And I love them to death. They're awesome breeds. Once you get them where they need to be and you're on that level of communication with them, absolutely. But God, it's hell getting there.
Yeah, we have a border collie boxer mix.
Yeah.
He was fun for a while.
I bet.
He's pretty calmed down now. He's a good dog. We actually really lucked out with him. It's actually pretty funny because he looks like he is a border collie through and through, but you like look at him weird. It's because he's as tall as my lab. Like he's just got
you
all
got
that
big long lanky legs and that
super long lanky legs on a border collie, and it's like,
okay,
that's all right.
that looks like a dog a child drew.
Yeah, we had that and a Great Pyrenees puppy at the exact same time.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was nuts.
Lisa over here, I just popped over in YouTube, the Facebook, YouTube comments, and she said, we never had any of our goats jump on the truck or the roof. Maybe I just said well-behaved goats. My sheep are still better than the goats. Well, maybe you did just have well-behaved goats, but I've heard a lot of stories. Oh, yeah. I've seen a lot. I
don't even have fences.
You don't even have fences. That's because you keep them in the house. Because you have house goats.
Because they're indoor goats.
Well, they go outside. They're outside all day. Oh. It's only because the bear broke into the pen that they have to sleep in the house during the winter.
Oh.
All right.
Because we had a nasty bear last summer.
I will accept that caveat.
So we're building a bear-proof barn.
There you go.
All right.
They were raised for about a year in the house, though, when they were babies.
So they're going to keep coming back in the house no matter whether you build a barn for them or not.
Right. Probably. They'll just be in the house.
They're house goats now.
They do fine. If they got friends out there, they don't care.
Oh,
pretty much.
House goats. Wow.
But he's pretty good about it.
How's the squirrel get along with the goats?
Well, the squirrel I've had for like 2 days, and it's an untamed baby, so it's just in its cage. I'll be working on that all month. Just barely weaned.
What are you naming this squirrel?
That is still up in the air. I was thinking Oscar.
Oscar. Okay. That's way more of a mature name than I probably would have gone with something like D's. Yeah.
One of my customers.
Yeah, I have 3 young adult boys that are in and out of my house. I don't need encouragement of puns.
Oh, don't let them listen to this.
Don't need to make it that easy for them.
Don't let them listen to the show if they're afraid. If you don't want to hear a bunch of puns, because man, we'll be a bad influence.
Yeah, no, I'm not a good influence.
I think I'm a worse influence than they are. I have a problem.
Shit. Well, hey, we've been going an hour and 45 minutes. I see Spiral popped up here. Are you just listening in, or do you have any questions before we wrap up at least the recording side of things? All right. If he wants to, he can unmute. But no, man, I think.
Yeah, I'm just listening, guys.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Sounds good, man. We had you on stage before, so I think that's why you just popped right up here. I thought maybe you had a question.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
Sweet. All right, cool. All right, well, has anybody got any other questions they want to throw out and have on the podcast before I end the recording here? I'll probably leave the nest open for a little while after that, just if you want to bullshit till I need to roll. But it's getting up on time, and I want to get the audio recording on the podcast site up while I've got the internet right here. So I'll throw it out there for one last round of any questions on the recording. Let me check on the text chat over here.
Hey, one question.
Yeah.
About how big, what would be the weight of a 8-month-old Angus bull?
Oh,
depends.
It does depend, but I'd say so. Like an 8-month-old Angus bull.
Yeah.
Are you talking like live weight or like hanging weight? Like what?
He's alive currently.
Yeah, but do you want the weight?
Like I'm considering buying him and slaughtering him on site.
Okay. So you're more concerned with what the.
So I gotta move him.
Okay. I would guesstimate.
Hey Josh, I gotta jump out and put a kid back to sleep.
Okay.
But this was fun.
Yeah, good man.
I'm sure I'll talk to you after.
Oh yeah, we'll catch you later, dude.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, I deal with a lot of Angus, and it depends on their feed program and everything. And there's low-line Angus and taller Angus and whatnot. And I might be able to get you closer with the picture, but I mean it's still hard to eyeball weigh them. I would guesstimate though, an 8-month-old Angus bull, if he's got a pretty good frame to him, it'd be probably somewhere between like 1,000, maybe 1,200, 1,500 pounds live. That's still a pretty good sized animal. I've seen it smaller. But if you're thinking about being able to move them as far as hauling on a trailer or a tractor or whatnot to lift, I would try to err on the side of having something that can handle at least a ton.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at pictures going, I think he's too big to manage.
Yeah, that's a lot to take on. And a bull, especially if he's not cut, they get pretty muscular. They're starting to put on that musculature by 8, 9, 10 months old. And
yeah, he's pretty stout.
Yeah, they can get pretty thick. So it's a lot to take on. I like if you're starting with cattle and if you got Angus around, if you can get a hold of something like maybe like a 10-month-old heifer or something, that's usually achievable because you're looking at something that's like a 800-900 pound animal, and typically something in the neighborhood around 400 or 500 pounds hang weight at most. So it's still a lot of beef to get through, but all the cuts are there. Everything's obvious. You've actually started to see some marbling if they're on a good feed program. And it's not like each quarter isn't something that a grown man could lift and move with some effort.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. It's just a good deal, and it's a little too far to trailer live with our trailer.
You pretty much need to process them on site, or at least break them down on site.
break him down something and get him in the trailer that way, because he's not tame. And I talked to the lady who's like, oh, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah.
So it would be
he's not even
drop him and process him somewhat down there.
Yeah. Do they have a tractor on site with like a loader or anything?
She says it's finicky at best and doesn't know if it's big enough to do the job.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, that would be a hard one for me to take
like,
on without a tractor. Yeah, you definitely. I've done bigger.
We'll have to pass on that one.
I've done bigger with like a snatch block and a really good tree limb, but that's also was a pain in my ass, and I very much knew what I was doing when I undertook it too. I would definitely not jump on that if you've not done quite a bit.
Yeah, this is going to be our first cow.
That's a really rough entry.
It was just a good deal. I was like, ooh, yeah.
Sometimes those.
I was like, nah. I think after talking to her, I was like, ugh.
Yeah, no. Sometimes those good deals are a good deal for a reason, because nobody wants to touch it, type thing.
Yeah.
Right. If I was anywhere closer to you, I would probably volunteer to help you, just because that would be pretty entertaining to be involved with. I'm sure I've been in weirder situations, but yeah, you're a long ways away. I'm definitely not driving all the way to the West Coast. So.
Just a bit.
Oh shit! All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody hanging out.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, I'm probably going to leave the nest open here for a little bit after. I'm just going to get the recording ended and start uploading stuff in the background. But like I said to everybody, thanks for listening in. This turned into a much longer episode than I expected, but we had some good questions, good discussion, and yeah, we'll get this audio side up. And like I said, this is episode 46. We only got a few more till we get to that episode 50. We're going to be doing that giveaway for episode 50. So be sure to keep an ear out. All right, let me end the audio on the podcast side, if I remember how to do that. And here we go. Stop that room recording. All right.